The battle for the clinic became a battle for Leela's rightful place. Aryan and Kavya mounted a defense, gathering petitions from every family the clinic had helped. Mrs. Chandra from Delhi used her network to connect them with a progressive legal aid group. In a powerful act of redemption, Dr. Malhotra traveled to the district office. He did not go as a penitent, but as a respected retired chief of surgery, presenting a formal affidavit attesting to Leela's original training and exemplary character, and offering his ongoing mentorship. The collective weight of community support and professional advocacy prevailed. The clinic was not only certified, but designated as an official rural health outpost. Leela received a provisional license, her name and title officially restored. Her victory was quiet, a single line on a government document, but it meant the world. Asterisk with the clinic secure, new life blossomed literally and figuratively. Kavya, combining her passion for botany with her public health studies, started the Healing Garden project behind the clinic. She cultivated medicinal plants native to the region: turmeric, ashwagandha, tulsi, teaching villagers how to grow their own home remedies. Her knowledge, once a solitary dream, became a gift to her community. Aryan's architectural work gained recognition, winning a Sustainable Design Award that brought a modest grant to Shanti Nagar for rainwater harvesting systems. Their personal life blossomed as well. In a simple ceremony under the same neem tree where Aryan had asked her to stay, surrounded by family and the entire village, Kavya and Aryan were married. Leela wore a new sari, the color of sunshine. Prakash walked his daughter down the makeshift aisle without his cane, his face wet with proud tears. Mrs. Chandra presided as the honorary elder, and Dr. Malhotra attended, finding an awkward but genuine place in the family portrait. The wedding was not a departure, but a deepening of roots. Kavya did not leave her home. She and Aryan built their own cottage next to her parents, connected by a path through the Healing Garden. The greatest joy arrived 9 months later. Kavya gave birth to a daughter in the very clinic her mother ran, with Leela assisting the midwife. They named her Prakriti, meaning nature, in Prakriti's face. They saw the future: a child born not from a secret, but from open love, raised by a village that was her extended family. Leela would rock her granddaughter, singing old songs, her hands now healing hands gently stroking the baby's head. The cycle of shame was broken, replaced by a cycle of nurturing care. Asterisk years flowed like the mountain streams, steady and strong. Prakriti grew into a spirited girl with her mother's curious eyes, and her grandfather Aryan's love for building things from clay and sticks. The Leela Community Clinic expanded, with a small wing added for maternal care, named the Prakash Wing in honor of the man whose idea started it all. Young women from the village, inspired by Sister Leela, began to train as community health workers. Leela, though her hair was now silver, still worked with undiminished dedication. The revered matriarch of village wellness. One summer, a documentary film crew from the national broadcaster arrived. They had heard of the award-winning Sustainable Village and the remarkable clinic run by the nurse, who made a comeback. The film, titled The Healing Hills, told their story to the nation. It showed Leela at work, Kavya in her garden, Aryan teaching village boys basic engineering, and Prakash telling animated stories to a circle of children. It showed Prakriti, a symbol of the new generation. The story that began in secrecy and shame was now a public tale of resilience and redemption. On the anniversary of the clinic's opening, the family stood together looking at the bustling village center: the clinic, the community hall, the lush garden. Prakash, leaning lightly on Aryan's arm, smiled. Leela held Kavya's hand. Prakriti ran between them all. They had weathered the storm of the past. They had not just found happiness, they had constructed it day by day, with love as their foundation and service as their blueprint. Their legacy was not in stone or money, but in the healthy children, the thriving families, and the enduring spirit of Shanti Nagar. The final secret they shared was the simplest one of all: that the greatest strength is found, not in hiding from your story, but in having the courage to rewrite its ending together. The mist in the Himalayan village of Shanti Nagar was a daily blanket, soft and persistent. Kavya knew its touch better than any friend. At 19, her world was defined by the steep T slopes, the smell of damp earth, and the rhythmic, weary sound of her mother's work. That sound, the slap of wet laundry on stone, was the heartbeat of their fragile home. It paid for her father's medicine and the rice in their bowl. Her own dreams, pressed between the pages of botany books, felt as ephemeral as the morning fog. She dreamed of roots and blooms, of scientific names for the wildflowers that clung to the cliffs. But in her home, there was only the quiet arithmetic of survival. The monsoon rain arrived with a fury one afternoon, trapping the family inside their small house. Seeking her birth certificate for a distant scholarship chance, Kavya found her mother's tin box unlocked. Inside, she did not find a simple document. She found a ghost, a photograph of a young woman she barely recognized, her mother, Leela, standing proud and straight in a crisp nurse's uniform. The background sign read St. Mary's Hospital, Darjeeling. Beneath it lay a degree awarded with honors. And then, her own birth certificate. In the space where a father's name should have been, someone had drawn a single, stark line. The emptiness on that official form screamed louder than any storm. That evening, the truth fell from her mother's lips like stones into still water. Leela spoke of a past life, of academic promise, of a revered professor named Dr. Arjun Malhotra, of whispered promises and a devastating consequence. She spoke of a hospital board's ultimatum and a married man's silent complicity. She had left everything: her career, her name, her city, carrying only her shame and her unborn child. The kind Tipikar Prakash, a man crippled by a landslide, had offered her a name and a home when the child's true father offered nothing. Leela's hands, now raw and cracked from washing strangers' clothes, had once been trained to heal. Her sacrifice was not a moment, but a lifetime. Kavya looked from her disabled father to her broken mother, and her own dreams withered inside her. The cost of their love was written in the lines on their faces, and now it was a debt she had to repay. The decision was a cold, hard seat in her chest. Delhi was the answer. A job as a living caretaker for an elderly woman, found through a tenuous connection. She announced it with a finality that left no room for argument. Her father's weak protests were swallowed by his own helplessness. Her mother's silence was the heaviest sound of all. On the day she left, Leela pressed a folded 500 rupee note into her palm, a fortune saved from laundry. The bus ride was a descent into another world. The cool, green silence of the mountains giving way to a roaring, dusty heat. As Shanti Nagar vanished behind her, Kavya closed her eyes. She was not just leaving her home. She was burying the girl she had been. Delhi was an assault. It was a cacophony of horns, a sea of impatient faces, and an endless expanse of gray. The house in South Delhi was an island of quiet decay. Her employer, Mrs. Chandra, was a novelist imprisoned in a wheelchair and in the past, surrounded by towers of forgotten books. Kavya's new world shrank to the dimensions of this bungalow, cooking, cleaning, and reading aloud to a woman who offered criticism more readily than kindness. The loneliness was a physical weight, a constant companion she carried from room to room. Her weekly phone calls home were lifelines, her father's voice growing stronger. Her mother's always careful, always brave. She sent most of her salary back, a ritual that felt like sending pieces of herself. Salvation came from an unexpected corner, the library. Dusting the shelves one afternoon, she was caught lingering over a volume of Tagor's poetry. "You actually read these?" a voice asked. It was Aryan, Mrs. Chandra's grandson. He was not like the others. His gaze was curious, not dismissive. He began leaving books for her, not just any books, but ones that spoke to her. A field guide to Himalayan flora appeared on her bedside table, a bookmark placed at the chapter on the rare blue poppy. It was a quiet conversation that grew into something more. On the veranda during the humid evenings, they talked. He was an architect, disillusioned with building shopping malls. She was a village girl who missed the soil. In the space between their worlds, a fragile, tender understanding began to grow. This delicate new world shattered when Aryan's mother, Mrs. Kapoor, arrived from London. She was a storm of perfume and judgment. During a dinner party, an elderly guest, a retired doctor, peered at Kavya with cloudy eyes. A flicker of recognition passed over his face. The whispered investigation began. The confrontation was swift and brutal. "I know who you are," Mrs. Kapoor hissed the next morning. "Your mother was that nurse from the Darjeeling scandal." She destroyed a family. The old, shameful label was slapped back onto her life. Humiliation burned through Kavya. She packed her single bag, ready to disappear into the city's anonymity, to protect her family from this renewed disgrace. Aryan stopped her at the gate. In the shadow of the old bungalow, he asked for the truth. And for the second time in her life, Kavya let a secret spill out. She told him of the photograph, the blank space, the laundry, and the silent 20-year penance. She expected to see his affection turn to pity or worse, to disgust. Instead, he saw the story she had never seen herself. She didn't destroy a family, Aryan said, his voice firm. She saved you. That's not a scandal. That's a revolution from her wheelchair. Mrs. Chandra voiced her support with a scoff and her own story of societal shame. The battle lines were drawn, not between Kavya and Aryan, but between the past harsh judgments and a future they might dare to build. The journey back to Shanti Nagar felt like traveling through time. Kavya returned with Aryan by her side and, following Mrs. Chandra's determined efforts, the frail, remorseful figure of Dr. Arjun Malhotra. They found Leela as they always did, her hands in a basin of soapy water. The moment she saw the old doctor, to decades collapsed into a single, silent glance. His apology was a rasp of breath, a confession of cowardice. Leela's response was not anger, but a quiet, devastating truth. You gave me her, she said, looking at Kavya. That is not nothing. It was not forgiveness, but it was a place to start. The dream, when it came, was not from the educated doctor or the city architect, but from Kavya's father, Prakash. Propped up on his cot, he pointed a shaky finger. The old clinic, he said. The one that has been empty since Dr. Sharma passed. The roof is sound. The idea took root and blossomed with astonishing speed. Dr. Malhotra provided the funds, a final atonement. Aryan designed the renovation, his first project that felt truly meaningful. Prakash, strength returning, painted the sign himself with meticulous care. And on a bright morning that seemed to bless their endeavor, Leela Sharma stood at the door of the Leela Community Clinic. She wore a white nurse's uniform, her back as straight as it was in the old photograph. The village that knew her as the laundry woman now came to her as Sister Leela. Kavya found her purpose not in a distant botany lab, but in managing the clinic, her studies turning toward public health. Aryan stayed, his blueprints now for sturdy, beautiful homes for the tea workers. One evening, surrounded by the medicinal herbs she was learning to grow, he asked her to build this new life with him. She said yes. The secret that had once threatened to drown them now watered the ground they stood on. Dr. Malhotra visited, an awkward grandfather bringing supplies and stories. Prakash walked, step by step, to the clinic porch to hold court. Leela's hands, once broken by labor, now performed the skilled work they were always meant to do. Kavya finally took out her birth certificate. The blank space no longer looked like an absence, but a space for a new story. With a steady hand, she filled it in. Father, Prakash Singh, she wrote. Who chose me? Mother, Leela Sharma. Who gave me everything? The family secret had been a locked box of pain. But inside, they had discovered the tools for their healing, choice, sacrifice, and a love that was not about blood, but about showing up. In the end, they did not just find the truth. They built a new one from the ground up. The Leela Community Clinic thrived, becoming the strong, steady heart of Shanti Nagar. Villagers no longer faced a day-long journey to the town hospital for stitches or fevers. Under Leela's gentle, competent care and Kavya's organized management, the clinic grew. They added a small pharmacy and a recovery room. Aryan, true to his word, built not just houses but a new community hall next to the clinic, a space for meetings and celebrations. His blueprints were unfurled on the clinic's porch, stained with tea as villagers pointed and dreamed with him. The rhythm of their lives became a shared symphony of purpose. Prakash, now walking steadily with a carved cane from the local woodworker, appointed himself the clinic's chief greeter and tea maker. His laughter a familiar, welcome sound, but growth attracts attention. The success of the village clinic drew the scrutiny of the district health authorities. A stern inspector arrived, questioning the qualifications of the staff and the legality of a clinic run by a woman with a lapsed registration, the shadow of Leela's past. thought to be buried, threatened to close the doors. Panic gripped Kavya. They faced bureaucratic red tape and the cold print of old regulations. Leela prepared to quietly step aside, believing her past was once again endangering her family's future. It was a bitter echo of her life in Darjeeling. Asterisk.